Welcome back to LETV. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button so you don't miss out on any upcoming content. Let's do this. Right guys, so I'm back again. We're in the LETV studio and I'm here today with hip hop artist and songwriter MOG.
How you doing, mate?
How are you doing?
Very well, man. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, cheers for coming on, man. Been looking forward to this one. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of folk watching this one. Yes, he's got MOG on.
Oh, they'll be sick of me now, man. Until this year, I'd only done it like 2 of these my whole life, and this is my second one since January. So I'm not going to be that guy who does a million of them, you know what I mean? But for yourself, mate, no problem.
Didn't even think I was going to be that guy doing them.
Aye, it's weird how that happens, isn't it?
I got really into podcasts, and I just decided I could do that. Like watching tons of podcasts and thinking, that's dead interesting, I'd like to do that. And I just went for it, bought some stuff, and
here we are, man.
Already
everybody and their grannies get one now, haven't they? So
I know,
will you do my podcast? Well, only if you do mine. So everybody's got one. So.
Aye. Well, nice one, man. We'll just get cracked right on then. So the first part's basically like based on where you were born, where you're from, where you sort of grew up, what you were like as a kid, what you were into, sort of fashions and music and stuff. So where are you from? Where were you born?
Born in Govan, raised in south side of Glasgow, pretty much my whole life until I came to Edinburgh. So I was always situated in that part of Glasgow, a couple of different places in there, but that sort of area. And as far as what I was into as a kid and that, man, just I feel really lucky that way. You're my age, so you know, like growing up at that point in time, fashion and music and entertainment and everything was just beautiful. I look back on it now and think there was nothing as good as that before it or after. So I grew up with, like growing up, like heroes were people like Eric Cantona and Tupac and Mike Tyson, Michael Jordan, still people to this day.
Sylvester Stallone.
maybe not as much, but
a bit of Rambo movies and that.
I'm trying to think actors wise, maybe I don't know, Tom Cruise and people like that. You know what I mean? Like when I just thinking of the movies I watched when I was young, Jim Carrey.
I was addicted to all the old hard movies, like all the Arnie movies. And
they were great. Still quotable. The one-liners were incredible. They were so bad they were good.
Man, I even liked Nicolas Cage back in the day.
I want to see that now, the one that's all about him playing himself.
I've seen that Pig.
But I don't think I've seen that.
Big pop on the pig there, like.
I'm bad for that.
It's good. He's got a pig that hunts truffles down, and these truffles that they dig up and they're worth a lot of money.
Right.
Do they eat them? It's truffle hunting. They do it in certain countries.
Right. Oh no, they're a delicacy. They go for like hundreds of pounds or dollars
for these wee truffles, and these pigs find them. They're truffle pigs,
So is this a documentary or a movie?
It's a movie,
Right.
and he's like, he looks kind of homeless in the movie. I totally don't remember it properly, but it was a good movie, and basically someone steals his pig because it's a prize truffle catcher.
Right.
So some other gangster or something steals his pig. And he's hunting the pig down, and all of his contacts want more truffles than that, but he never, he can't find the pig, and he all the way through the movie he's claiming, I can't get you the truffles if I don't have my pig. So then he has other gangsters helping him find his pig.
Brilliant.
And in the end, it's really sad, in the end, he never really wanted the pig for the truffles, and he cries and shit at the end. He just loved his pig.
Right.
So it's really like, it's quite...
Man, I've never heard of that, mate, but it's the sort of thing I would watch. Plus I love Nicolas Cage. He's brilliant. He's off his nuts, so he's brilliant.
I think it's one of his sort of best films in a while, because it's had a few hit and miss films.
Quite recent.
This just came out like a year ago or something.
Right, okay.
It's just called Pig.
Right, I'm going to check it in, definitely.
He looks like a down and out. His hair's all long, his scruffy clothes and that, just him and his pig, and somebody taxes his pig, and he goes, and he's also hard in it. He normally is hard in his movies.
Nicolas Cage, mate, can't avoid that. You're who you are. He's brilliant. But these new ones about him playing himself.
Nice.
And it's like, what's it called? The unbearable weight of massive talent, which is hilarious. You know, I imagine saying that about yourself. You know what I mean? Hilarious. So I can't wait to see it. Satire, obviously, but looking forward to it.
Jean-Claude Van Damme done one recently based on it, like a biography based on himself as well.
I heard that actually. He was another one. Grew up watching movies like Bloodsport and
Universal
Commando
Soldier as well. Even later,
Universal Soldier,
classic.
That period in time, late 80s. I was born in '82, so late '80s. and then all the way through the 90s. That's my favourite, still to this day, my favourite entertainment of any kind. The best football was back then, the best basketball, the best movies, music, boxing, whatever you were into, it's off of that period in time. Maybe it's just nostalgia, but I still think that holds up better than anything.
I always
you know what I mean?
say I wish it was still the 90s, like the way things
Same
are.
here.
Know what I
Same
mean?
here.
Aye, like
100%.
things were, and not even just, it's just the way of life was easier. Like
No internet.
Aye, no internet, no mobile, well, hardly mobile phones at all.
Late 90s, but up to that point.
Aye,
no.
aye, but even in the late 90s, not everyone had a phone.
No.
Kind of like, I hate all that stuff nowadays. Like, even having online profiles and that, I hate. I've not even got Instagram. I've not got Snapchat. I've just got my Twitter and my Facebook and my YouTube, and I'm kind of like, I don't want any more stuff, but I can see why I should get them all. But
if it goes towards your business model, people always tell me I should get these things, and I never have, and I never will. There's enough nonsense in the world, you know what I mean, without me having to look at other people's. I've got my own problems, you know what I mean. So that's how everybody's got mental health problems, they're all depressed. Not any fucking winner. Everybody's walking about going, have you heard this is happening in some country I've never heard of in my life? You're not supposed to know that. You're supposed to take care of your wains and go on with your own life. You're not supposed to save the world, you know what I mean. So everybody's burdened by this nonsense that they shouldn't even be concerned with, you know what I mean.
Everyone's got an opinion on everything as well, and
my opinions are like arseholes. For that shite.
I know, and like in the older days, nobody would have said nothing to each other on the pavement. So like with all sorts of issues, people just left each other to do what they do. But with like Facebook, everyone's getting involved in everybody's business and that, and it's like you wouldn't have done that beforehand, No,
and you still wouldn't in real life. This is the thing, like people meeting each other face to face now. It's all this awkward conversation because, well, when I'm typing, I can say whatever I want. There's no fist coming through the screen to check me for what I'm saying. So in real life, they either go too far and think they can operate like that without nothing happening, or it's so awkward they don't know how to speak. You know what I mean? Like you see young people on dates, you know, like some wee guy and this lassie he's met probably online, which how sad is that? And then they end up in a bar and the two of them are just looking at their phones and no talking to each other. My God, man, people have just forgot how to be human.
My missus watches that First Dates or something, that programme where they sit in that restaurant and they have dates. It's like First Dates or something. And there's literally couples that do that now. They're young couples, like 21-year-old and that, and they're going on a date. It's this programme in that restaurant. And they have a first date or something. It's called First Dates, I think. And there's tons of them that do that. They don't know each other yet, so they come, they meet each other, they sit down, and like they're sitting on their phones. One's doing that, the other one's doing that, and they're making a joke out on the programme that. I think that's normal now.
Look at how awkward they are. And, that's a shame, man. It's a shame. I feel sorry for young people these days. And it goes back to the 90s thing, and that is, I wouldn't trade that for the world. Like, people are like, I just turned 40 recently, and it doesn't bother me in the slightest. I thought it was going to be, oh my God, I'm going to turn 40. Like, how did that? There's some mistake has been made. You know what I mean? Like phoning my MOG on, are you sure that, you know what I mean? But I'm just like, nah, when they change it for the world,
because we're exactly the same age. We've just realised we're both born 82,
born in the same year.
40. You turned 40 in March. I was February.
A month ago tomorrow.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
There you go. That makes sense. Why we're very clever.
Well, this is it. And I say, if I let it grow, you would see the grey, which implies wisdom. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean wisdom, but it implies it. You know what I mean? So.
What's I going to say? The whole thing with phones as well. My wee girl is like wanting a mobile phone now. She's 8. I'm like, what do you need a mobile phone at 8 for? Like, and
because every other 8-year-old's got one. That's why. Doesn't actually serve any purpose, but
it's just for her to go and she really wants it to go on YouTube and to do things like that, kind of like to go on the internet. And it's like, should you even be going on the internet at 8? You know what I mean?
My opinion, no. But again, you do need to take it off with a smooth and sort of go. It's the world now. You don't want them being outcast but at the same time, you know because of what age you're and how you grew up, you know it's wrong. Like, again, be a kid. When you're exposed to all this, there's no age on the internet. I know there's age restrictions on certain things, but there's no age that you don't see. That's one thing I think's funny is, this person said this bad comment about me online. Do you know who they are? No. Well, that could be like a 90-year-old Alzheimer's patient who's got no idea what he's talking about. Or it could be a 5-year-old who's got no idea about anything. Like, but to you, this is the most important person's opinion who's ever existed in the world. No idea who they are. So there's no age on the internet.
And there's so many, like, I find, I notice with my daughter, there's so many toys and products now and things that they play with that they don't know how to play without anything. so they don't know how to just play. So and if I find whether like if our pals aren't in or that, it's the end of the world, eh? Like there's no one to play with, and I try and tell her. I used to just go out and play on my own, just go and climb a tree and
trees,
do something.
come
home
like, bogging, and you've not even done nothing.
Yeah, go and throw stones over a wall. Kind of like just like see how far you can throw some stones and things like that. Like you don't even need toys and that. And then she's got a wee laptop thing she uses for school, and she can watch YouTube on it. So like we had to take her laptop off her because she'd been naughty.
Right,
and it came and lived in here for a few days, and it was like the end of the world for her. She was distraught, like getting greeting, like took her YouTube off her. It was like it's just YouTube, like wow.
It's weird how it went for a punishment was being grounded to now the punishment is get out.
Aye, I know,
play and like live life. That used to be if they took that away for you when you were younger, you're grounded. No, it's the end of the world. I might miss something that's happening in real life.
I get it.
Now they don't want nothing to do with real life. Now it's no, I want my computer and I don't want to go out. I want to sit in my room and you know what I mean. Obviously she's 8. I'm not talking about your daughter, but I mean teenagers and people who are supposed to be out there living life.
Can.
And I mean, you think about the last couple of years.
Causes mental health issues too. I think it's caused a lot of problems with kids. All this online bullying stuff and stuff like that.
Totally,
cyber.
I mean, bullied online, and you're just like, I wish when I was young, the worst bullying you had to deal with was
online.
The way to get rid of it was to put down whatever device you were using. It wasn't as easy as that. The way to get rid of it was to go for somebody's throat, then it was, oh right, he can handle himself. You know what I mean? So, but nah. And then what I was going to say is, 14-year-olds 3 years ago are 17 now. And they've not even been able to go out in the world whether they wanted to or not because of COVID. So you think of being that age,
weird,
what that must have done to them, what it's took away from them in a couple of years. Now they're doing it voluntarily themselves now because of the internet, but the last couple of years they've had no choice.
It's no fair too that, I mean, at the time I wasn't really bothered about school, but as you get older you realise, and now all these kids that were doing their exams and that, like, standard grades, are they even still called standard grades? Are they kidding?
No idea.
I don't know. Idea. But they during all that time, like the educations went down and like qualities went down and the rate of learnings went down, so that'll affected all their exams. But I don't think they got extra time. I think they had to still get on with it and do their exams. So there's some kids out there that went away with worse exam results because of COVID. And I kind of thought,
wonder if it'll affect them in later life for getting jobs and things like that.
Why can't they have frozen all exams and let those kids study those exams later? It's better giving them an advantage later than a disadvantage.
Totally. You're right.
So with these kids that were doing exams at 15, 16, they could have waited a couple of years and done their exams 18, 19 and had the proper time to study and that. Instead, I think they had to just get on with it, and then their passes weren't as good as it could have been. So I feel like that's an injustice, and they've now got that the rest of their life.
It's true, they've had these valuable years to get. It would affect everybody differently, but the people who are developing, that's how I used like 14 as kind of the mark, because I feel like 14 to 16, 17, you're meant to be doing a lot of things at that age and experiencing it, and then it probably affected them most because they're developing. The rest of us were just bored. We've already had our lives, or if you're really young, you could just, you can still be a child or whatever. You're just not getting out to play as much. But that age, it must really affect them. So some 17-year-old right now must just be insane.
Mind when they were telling you not to let your kids play with other kids at the park and that, remember? And that people were kicking off about that kids need to play with kids and that.
Development, but they need life.
You understand with COVID, and you don't really know what's going on, and the government didn't really know what was going on at the time, so
Still
they were
if you ask me, just playing it by ear. It's like, we know what's going on. Really? So you've dealt with this before, have you? No. Well, how the hell do you know? And how do you know the long term effects if it's never happened before? You can guess, but so can the rest of us.
Be interesting. I keep thinking in the future, we'll be old, so we're 40.
We are old, mate.
We'll be old.
We're old. We're old.
Well, I reckon in at least 20 years, maybe 30, I keep thinking we're going to hear some sort of, people are suffering from this now, from all the way back when COVID hit in 2020, and it'll be like 2040, 2050, we'll all be saying, oh, that's from when that happened. There's all these people with this problem now.
Totally.
Like,
It's going to be like, oh, my great granny lived in Chernobyl and now I've got 4 legs, you know what I mean? So it's going to be some sort of run-on effect to that. And
it's crazy to think as well in the future that you're going to have a story to tell, like grandkids, and everyone's going to be telling them, like, what, were you around when the COVID thing came, Grandad?
The dark ages.
Like, and everybody got locked in their house and that. And
here's hoping that's a shock to them. Here's hoping it's no worse, and they're going, oh, you were lucky for being about back then. You know what I mean?
Or they're like, that was the start of it.
Aye, exactly. That was the
beginning
kicking off point for
martial law and all this controlling of the people and that.
Like, big conspiracy. Well, how come it's actually happening then? Conspiracies are something that might or might not be true. There's things that are just absolutely 100% fact happening, and people pass it off as a conspiracy.
Due to COVID, they managed to pass new laws and bills and in parliaments and that for controlling. So I think they've passed new bills. So if there's another virus, they can snap into action faster now. They've done a whole lot of things. So, and what people say, I don't follow enough of it, but what people say is they've basically took away a lot of human rights. So if there's another virus kicks off in 20 years, they'll be able to put all these new bills in action, and you'll be told, stay in your house. We now have this in place and you must do it. Or here's the law for the masks. Apply the law, right, wear your mask. They didn't have it on this.
There's no gradual easing into it period. We're the guinea pigs for all this.
We had all the gradual easing in on COVID, so if we have another one in 20, 30 years, they'll already have all this in place, so it'll just be like, right, apply that law, get the mask.
Just in the streets, you just hear, and everybody needs to run in the house, and that's it, man.
I'm getting myself a big machine gun in that. And
start stocking up on tins of tuna and things that last forever in your bunker, you know what I mean? So you think people like that are crazy, and now you're going, they're the smart ones, man. They've got their act together.
If that happens, it better be like a decent sci-fi movie, then I'll be into it. Like.
Aye, some zombie apocalypse thing.
It'd be good if there's some aliens involved too.
Well, get time, mate. That'll be the next thing. We went for COVID to God knows what to now there's aliens. Aye, alright, fine. We're just accepting these things now. Of course there is.
It'll be like in the Ukrainian thing, like take an alien in your house.
It'll not be illegal aliens, it'll be legal aliens. We're working with the people of Jupiter to fix the world's problems or something.
The government's decided, the world government by then, world government have decided to invite a bunch of folk from the planet Ubla Kubla, and they're all coming to live here, and you all need to take one in your house each. It'll be like American Dad.
Oh, with the alien.
We'll have a wee alien in the house.
Totally. It'll not be like what country you fae, it'll be what planet are you fae.
Crazy, man. Well, how are we doing for time? God, we've been chatting, like, well, we could still go a wee bit, like,
I'm good
music,
for whatever,
music you were into and stuff, maybe when you were younger, say in your teens.
God, that's... You're going
Probably
to do like a three-hour
Scottish
podcast to do that, man. Hundreds of music, mate. I love music in general. So I've always said there's only 2 types of music, the type I like and the type I don't. So I don't care about genres, I don't care about time period or who done it or why they done it. If it's good, I like it. And if it's no, I don't listen to it. You know what I mean? So everything, again, grew up in the 80s as a kid with whatever my ma was playing, because you're no old enough to buy your own tapes and put on whatever you want at that age, and there's no internet, so you'll know. So my ma had amazing taste in music, which is probably why it bled into me, you know what I mean? So I'm not saying I've got amazing taste in music, but I think I do. Everybody else might line up for here to China to tell me I'm full of shit, but Michael Jackson, the Motown stuff.
I used to love Michael Jackson, I was that wee kid, like, dancing to Michael Jackson on the TV in the living room and all that.
Trying to moonwalk. Like all that stuff, man. Queen, Eagles. This is when I'm just young in the house listening to what she's playing, Stevie Wonder, all this kind of stuff. And then when the 90s hit, pretty much the turn of the 90s, and that was me, right, it's a new decade, you had this feeling of, even at a young age, music's changing and culture's changing and everything's shifting. So then straight away it was Nirvana and grunge music and gangster rap.
I loved Oasis and that.
Oh, aye. No, again, it doesn't matter what it is, man. Britpop, amazing.
You know Ian Brown, man. Love a bit of Ian Brown.
Brilliant. Love Ian Brown. Paul Weller. What else? I'm big into anything grunge for back then was my main thing, but also rap as well.
My sister was into, like, Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam are amazing.
See, I don't know much about them. I always mind, and that was really grungy. That was grungy.
They were the first. They call them the Big Four. So you had Soundgarden, which technically came along first. Then you had Pearl Jam, which I think were second. And Alice in Chains, Nirvana were around about the same time as well. So they're like sort of four big grunge bands, and you can't go wrong with any one of them.
Aye,
you know
Nirvana
what I mean?
as well. I wasn't massive into them all, but I loved Nirvana. Don't even know a lot about Nirvana, but they had a great sound, eh? But I was really into the Beatles, eh?
Oh, I love the Beatles as well.
Aye.
That was like my granddad's kind of music. I say my mum would be playing Michael Jackson, my granddad would be playing the Beatles, you know what I mean?
Aye.
And I walk in the kitchen, he's singing Can't Buy Me Love while he's making a cup of tea. And you imagine what 20, 30 year time when like we're the grandads, you got to be in the kitchen singing Fuck the Police. It's quite a shift.
Oh, there's Grandad singing Fuck the Police
I
again.
know, what's he like? You know what I mean?
Cool, man. Well, so were you ever into like house music and that as well?
Absolutely, I say a wee bit of everything. Man.
Aye,
A wee bit of everything.
pretty much also. Did you like a bit of metal?
Yes,
Aye,
absolutely, man.
Bit of Metallica.
Metallica,
Aye,
love Metallica, love Metallica.
The Black Album.
Aye, brilliant album.
It was called the Black Album. It had like a snake on it, eh? The snake.
Was it? Aye, but the cover. Aye. But no, a bit of everything, mate. And I'm a massive fan of female singers. See, like female solo artists. Most of the band music I like. There's exceptions like Cranberries and Hole, because I say grunge, and grunge I was right into. But solo artists, I'm more into female solo artists than I'm male. When it comes to bands, I prefer a guy being the front. It's just the way it worked out. You know what I mean? But there's so many. I say I could go on forever. But most people wouldn't even have heard of these days. Like people you'd think was a one-hit wonder, but they had a great career, you just never heard it in the charts.
Aye,
you know what I mean?
aye,
Like my favourite musician ever, history of the world, is Anais Mitchell, who's an American folk singer. I think she's from Vermont.
Right.
I got a chance to meet her and go to her concert and that. She played a song for me and all this stuff, you know what I mean? I was just blown away. I had my favourite artist ever, so I never go to meet Tupac or Kurt Cobain or any of these people. I go to meet her, and she's a couple of years older than us.
Aye.
You know what I mean? So,
Aye. What, we just come to like female voices,
something soothing about it.
and Linda Carpenter, the Carpenters.
Of course.
Something about her voice is, I always kind of say she's like one of my favourite female voices. I've sampled her tons on tunes.
Absolutely. I just talking about Anais Mitchell. I've had one of her samples on pretty much every album I've done.
Aye.
I gave her a stick with On It when I met her, and probably never listened. She probably got a million people getting her stuff like this, but I'm like, I'm a big fan. Can you listen to these tunes I've made of your songs? You know what I mean?
I done that to RZA.
Aye. You just don't want to get hit with the copyright. That's the only problem.
I gave RZA a CD after a Wu-Tang thing. CD with a bunch of tunes on it, Evil Residents and all that. We used to do.
Right. So you just sampled his voice and his beats and all that, and
No, I just gave him a CD of music.
Right.
Oh,
from
the Wu-Tang.
Oh, you gave him a CD of his own music?
Of our music.
Oh, right. But that's what I'm saying.
CD.
Have you sampled him on it?
No.
Right,
But I gave him a CD of my tunes, and just always mind that when I handed him, he was like, "Oh, cool." Had a picture of my face on the front, and he was like, "Oh yeah, nice. Oh, that's you." And he was looking at me. I was like, "Yeah, man, that's our music." He's like, "Oh yeah, like cool. I'll listen to that later." And the funny thing, I instantly said to RZA, like, "No biting my beats."
It's my style. You get your own style.
He just laughed.
You'll go far.
And then I says to him, to be honest, like, you've influenced my sound a lot, eh? So like, it might sound like your shit.
Hey, mate, it'd be flattered, but you know what I mean. The thing is, again, when I gave her that stick, and probably the same with you, is these people don't know who you are and they've never heard you before.
Aye.
Probably got a million people doing that, and as soon as they leave, it's just bin.
I know,
you know what I mean? But it's nice to think that you never know.
Gives
They might
it to
be.
his chauffeur driver. Or you want that? Fucking yeah, I'll take it.
Aye, starts building a joint on it or something. You know what I mean? Funds it away. And
Chauffeur driver, he's probably having a line on it. Eh?
exactly. Aye. If he's got any sense. Aye.
You'll get a lot more chauffeur driving done. Cool, man. Well, I suppose we could just move on from there. Eh? I mean, other than I'll ask you about fashions and stuff, but you were probably much like myself, just like local fashions you would have been wearing, just the average lad.
Well, Glasgow, when I grew up, Ned culture, I suppose is what they refer to it as. So I was Bergos jacket, Burberry hat, Lacoste tracky, Levi's, pair of Timbies, Ben Sherman shirt, all the
Aye,
everything
aye.
that was the 90s, you know what I
Aye,
mean?
aye.
Everything that was standard 90s scheme wear, that was me, you know what I mean? So
I had a lot of the same too. I had a Ralph Lauren denim jacket with the flag on the back. You mind that? I had the big American flag with the RL and and my black Rockport boots.
Rockports, kickers, all that kind of stuff.
Kickers, Rockports, Wrangler jeans and that as
Aye,
well.
Wranglers or Levi's, they were the sort
Aye,
of,
aye.
or if you had money, or Manny jeans and all that kind
If
of
you
stuff.
go
I
down
had
to
that kind of
Matalan, you
cash.
can get a pair of Wranglers in Matalan for about 12 quid, eh?
Really?
I
I'll need to go.
It's not like that, I think.
Do you know I'm funny? As I've got older, I will if it's a band or something I'm really into. But I don't know, for some reason now I'm against wearing names on my clothes.
Aye.
You know what I mean? I don't want to like advertise.
Aye, me too.
They're not paying me, you know what I mean?
Me too.
Aye, me too. Check the sponsor. But I'm like,
It's only because they phoned me and says you wear the Timberland top today.
well, there you go. I've seen you in all the adverts, so you're allowed, you know what I mean?
It's just the expansion of the channel that's getting quite big.
But when you're young, that's the thing is, I want this label on my clothes, and see now I'm like, I don't want somebody else's name on my clothes, you know what I mean? Unless it's a band I really like, because then anybody who sees that goes, oh, who's
I'm
that?
getting like more like that. I mean, this t-shirt's quite loud, but like I like this hat. It's actually a Timberland hat, but you can't really
Subtle.
tell what it is.
Subtle.
Aye. So I go for more of that as well now. Like sometimes just a wee badge on it. I quite like the Lyle and Scott stuff that just has a wee badge and stuff.
Subtle's nice.
Aye.
Aye.
Fred Perry was always
When
good.
you're younger,
as well.
you're like Helly Hansen jackets with big massive
Aye,
H's
aye.
on it,
Aye,
beats
aye.
bright orange, and I keep it black.
I never
these
had
days
any
and all,
Kappa.
so.
Kappa was my thing. Like
I loved Kappa. The
Kappa was
trackies.
massive. Aye,
But again,
aye.
you can see
The
that
big
for
Kappa
space.
stripes and that. Aye.
No, very
Right.
subtle.
Well, maybe we'll just move on, man. We can have a wee break and then get on to the next part after that. So there's going to be a track on from MOG. All the details will be on the screen if it's available or not. And we'll be back in a wee minute.
Peace. Hey, another troubled soul running round lost in the melee. Hey, pray to God make me half the man I was in my heyday. Hey, on my knees looking to the night sky screaming mayday. Hey. Those are my eyes, cat's eyes. I capsize being baptized with a map dice and a top prize. As I sack of lies and bye-byes, still I rise. The longest of your cons, hop onto the oblong, where you all belong. It's a morbid sob song for the wanting a condom, it's all wrong. It's over the under and under the covers, a momentary blunder be virgin and lovers. It's sober and humble and numbing like rubbers, ironic. Had a tonic, get demonic and never be good again. There's a bruise in my brain, my fist to the flame, but you remain. Who's win? I can feel it in my bones. Past records tell a story, you can read it in my poems. Straight out of the main streets, knee deep between these sheets. But we scheme freaks, discreet, speak least. Please, waste, cause it keeps peace. Jeez, even seen as a man that's admired. But the only good deed that I ever have seen to achieve is the one that I sired. Cheeky face, baby girl, you mean the most. The reason I ache, may the gods keep you safe. Hey, another troubled soul running round lost in the melee. Hey, pray to God make me half the man I was in my heyday. Hey, on my knees looking to the night sky screaming mayday. Hey. Hey, another troubled soul running round lost in the melee. Hey, pray to God make me half the man I was in my heyday. Hey, on my knees looking to the night sky screaming mayday. Hey. Hey.
Right, guys, so that's us back. Hope you enjoyed that track from MOG. All the details should have been on the screen if it's available or not available. And we're just going to crack on now with the second part, which is pretty much based on what got you into sort of making music and being a hip-hop artist, basically. What sort of, is there memories in your life that sort of pushed you into, I want to do that, I want to try that, and then after that, sort of just what it sort of means to you, why you do it, is it something that keeps you going mentally, that sort of stuff. So yeah, sort of early events that took you from being maybe a teenager and actually starting to do your own raps and stuff. What pushed you that way?
Well, I've always listened to hip hop for as long as I can remember. Listening to like Ice-T and that in the 80s, you know what I mean? So even when I was away, being fascinated by it and just thinking, and even at that age, I always grew up in an area where everything was gang violence and all that kind of stuff. So see, hearing music that represented that, my first thought was, oh, somebody for here could easily do that.
Aye.
You know what I mean? And for years and years, I would tell the people I was round about, who I was quite alone when it came to listening to hip hop. There wasn't many people round about me into it. When I was about 11, I started playing basketball, and it was people for different walks of life. They weren't just for the scheme, so they were into hip hop. So that was somebody that, me being young, they were like, "Here, wee man, there's a tape. You like hip hop? Here, take this." So it broadened my horizon as far as listening to hip hop, but also gave me somebody I could speak to about, because it was just me. You know what I mean? But I'd always had it in my head, somebody, well, being for Glasgow, thinking somebody for Glasgow should do this, like somebody for here should rap. So I always had in my mind what a Glaswegian rapper would be, and just never once had any thought of it being me. And then eventually, as time went on, it just manifested into, you know, when I was 19, I was like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna get a bash. So I never started off in an American accent. I never started off with a weird perception of what I was going to do or using their terminology or anything, because for years and years I'd been formulating the thoughts in my head of, this is how we would do this. You know what I mean? So I already had the blueprint already mapped out in my mind, whereas first thing I put on paper, first thing I put on to record is no a million miles away from what I'm doing right now, because it was always the same thought process.
We'd done a similar, me and Matat were quite similar. We even had a cheesy skit on a tune that we're both talking to each other at the start of the tune, and we're going say something like, mind in Queens when hip hop blew up because of like Nas and Mobb Deep and that, and they blew it up. Yeah, man. We're like chatting on this shit, and then it's like, and then like over on the West Coast, like Dre and Death Row and how it all blew up and that. Yeah, aye man. And then the tune kicks in, and we're just like, we're gonna blow Edinburgh up. Get like, that's what the skit was.
Yeah.
Listening back to it now, the way it's like, that's cringy as fuck, eh?
But no a million miles away for the truth.
Aye,
you know,
in a way.
like, just know that it's blew up as in Scottish hip hop's huge, but it's still a thing that happens, isn't it? So as far as pioneers, mate, you're very much part of that.
To have even your name like mentioned in these things,
of course, because it's a privilege, you know what I mean?
It's
to
the
be
same for
spoken
you
about.
with Glasgow, basically. When people talk about Glasgow rappers, MOG, it comes straight as one of the first names.
Well, there's different styles of rap as well. Like when I go into the sort of hip hop scene in Scotland and started meeting people in Glasgow, obviously we'd never been outside of there until years later, you know what I mean? But meeting people in Glasgow, they weren't for my background, so to speak, you know what I mean? So they weren't really rapping about what I was rapping about. You can go back to 2003 when I made my first songs, and again, it's no a million miles away from what I'm doing now. It was all about the scheme and how I lived, and again, the thing I'd been thinking about for years and years and years. This is the way somebody for the scheme in Glasgow would write about these things.
Aye.
But then I met people who were just hip hoppers, so it was like punchline. That wasn't me, you know what I mean? I was more, this is what happens where I live.
Aye.
And that was where I took my influence for. As far as today, I think they took their influence more, not to speak for them because I don't know, but I think they maybe took their influence more for gimmicky kind of rap or just more traditional hip hop culture kind of rap.
I think it's like some people think that rap music is only for people from really rough areas, but it's not necessarily, because there's a lot.
This was the opposite.
Yeah, there's a lot of hip hop artists that do that more chilled out hip hop. They've not came from a really rough background. They've not came from like a rich background, but they've not came from like a real scheme of that.
No.
And they make there's a lot of artists like that, and they make more sort of hip hop, and they're influenced by Tribe Called Quest and people like that.
Exactly.
And that's totally cool. And,
Mate, I enjoyed it being
it's the
different.
same in America, eh? I mean,
course.
some I reckon you can just tell looking at American rappers, eh? Some street sort of thuggish American rappers have really came from that lifestyle.
It shines through. It's hard to fake that. You know
and
what I
then
mean?
you've got more friendly American rappers that are more chill, and they haven't generally came from such a rough background where they've seen folk getting shot and that all the time. But they've still came from neighborhoods in America and that. But some have just the ones that have came out of those grimy backgrounds have came out with that grimy music, eh?
Well, that's it. For me to try and fabricate that, and again, there was no benefit to doing it, none.
Aye.
I was got to gigs and people and I was like a fucking head that swallowed a dictionary. There was no, oh, that's cool.
Aye.
It was kind of like, why, maybe try to be a gangster or something, you know what I mean? I'm talking about where I'm from and what goes like, this is real, there's none of this is fucking false. Because believe me, I couldn't articulate it in a certain way. Now you could easily, somebody who knows nothing could go, we wear bear gauze jackets and stab people, and it's like walking into a Scotland shop. It's just cliche.
Aye.
You know what I mean? But I feel as though I've always been able to articulate exactly what happens and how it goes, and now people come up to me at gigs and go, man, I never heard anybody say that before, and like the way we actually live.
Aye.
You can't fake that. And again, there was, even if I could fake it, there was no benefit to doing it.
That's why a lot of people in the Scottish hip hop scene are just fans of it, like your stuff. I think I see people saying Mog's a great storyteller. Mog's a great.
Always what I wanted to do.
Aye.
I again, it wasn't punchline, gimmicky rap, and it wasn't check my flow or anything like that, because I wasn't a fan of that. I was a fan of storytelling about where you were from, now painting a picture or something.
Aye.
So again, listening to Ice-T, listening to Tupac, listening to whoever.
At the same time, I noticed your flow. I was saying to you earlier, when we were listening to Goody Mob in the car, and I was saying I just love them, like mostly for their production, and you were like, oh, that's because you do produce and you'll be listening to
your
that.
ears tuned.
Aye, so when I listen to rappers, I don't even really listen to a lot of what they're saying a lot of the time. It's how they're saying it and their flow and their rhythm and that.
Right,
so you're saying that, but when I first heard you and that, I could hear all your flow and your rhyme patterns and all that. So
I think that just came through memory of, hearing other rappers, and it just, obviously you can't, it needs to rhyme and it needs to go in a flow. That was all kind of more just by chance, I suppose, that happens, you know what I mean? I've never sat and worked it. I've had people again tell me, oh, you done this multi-syllabic blah blah blah, and I'm going, news to me.
Aye.
Yeah, it just happened. I didn't sit down and map it out that way. The only thing I mapped out was the stories, and you would go out and live your life and come home at the end of the night and go, I'm going to write about that.
Aye.
So none of it was in aid of being a rapper. It was just more or less documenting what had happened and loving the way hip hop artists done that and just translating it into my life.
Sometimes just the way you speak, like everyone in general, like just the way the person speaks makes a lot of their style, eh? You know?
Aye, it can't be a million mile away from who you are and how you speak. Or it sounds like a gimmick.
Aye.
But like you say, if you've got that natural sort of, this is just me telling a story, kind of. You know what I mean? And even these days, mate, as music changes, like I said, ain't nothing changed but the beat. You know what I mean? So the beats are faster now, the styles are faster now. You need to adjust your rapping accordingly.
Well, it's about to say I was geeking out this morning watching your. Now is it 1250 TV? It was you and YB.
YB, aye.
And it was just on the mic in the mic booth.
Aye.
Aye.
Freestyle. I think they call it freestyle
session. It was a sort of grimy, drilly beats, and your rhyme patterns were mad on that, eh?
Well, that's it again. Drill's a different animal, and for a while I had sort of fell out of bothering about writing, and I was kind of bored with it, you know what I mean, to be honest. And I don't make beats, so I just fell out of it all together. And then when I started hearing drill, I'm probably a decade behind everybody else when it comes to even hearing drill. I was in the interest, you know what I mean, and no just in drill, in the interest in anything that was going on in the world music wise. So then when I started hearing that, I was working with Polish boys who'd listened to Polish drill, and it got me right into the beats, and I was in the flows and all that, and I was like, this is something I can challenge myself with. And it was YB got in touch through a mutual pal of yours, and he was like, mate, fucking, we should do something together. And I went, aye, and I went, you know what, instead of asking him to do what I do, I'm going to try and do what he does. I'm going to try and do that modern drill sort of style. And see, when I got into it, mate, I fucking loved it. You know what I mean? So it's gave me a wee rebirth for
lots of energy and the way you rap, and lots of energy, and gets your adrenaline. It's like grime.
Totally.
Matak got really into grime, and I never totally moved into grime, but I did a lot of music with him, so he'd be like, let's stuff it, man. I write a grime verse, right, Sam, we'll do a grime verse. And I wasn't bothered. but then quite enjoyed writing it because it was all of a sudden I used to just be writing to boom boom ch boom boom
Same
ch,
here.
and all of a sudden I'm writing to dum 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 ch dum 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 dum
So you're like,
it's like-
it's all dead jiggy and fast.
yeah, and
that,
you're like, oh, that's amazing how those words went together like that. And I ended up enjoying it. And then when it was time to rap it or perform it on stage, it was like energy coming out of you when you were like,
it's fun, and it's fun. You're having more fun, and
aye.
it didn't need to be as serious for me. Even though it's weird saying it didn't need to be as serious because the actual style of drill lends itself more to what I was saying to you is talking about. No, don't get me wrong. I don't mean I'm wearing a balaclava and I'm going to shoot you, because I've never spoke about anything that I didn't know about. You know what I mean? It was nonsense basically. Nobody's kicking about doing that. Let's be honest.
Aye, okay.
I mean, you're not fucking making videos and telling people you're a moron if you're doing that. I'm shooting people and then I'm making a video about it and look, here's the dead body. You know what I mean? Like, you're a moron. But if you're just doing that for style and the culture, fair enough, and fair play to you. But talking about sort of scheme activities on the sort of darker side of life, I had always done that. So this music lends itself more to that than any other sort of style I've heard in Scotland
It's
before.
got a real aggressive feel to
Exactly.
it as well. Eh?
So I can still be who I am on it. I don't need to get gimmicky or nothing. I can still just talk about the same sort of shit I've never really changed style wise because I don't even know if I could.
Aye,
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the flow's changed, the content stays the same. You know what I mean? And I appreciate everything that goes into making that type of music because it's fresh for me.
Aye.
You know what I mean?
You've adapted to it well, eh? Loki's most recent tunes he's done have been more double time sort of speed raps
Faster
as well.
flows and that.
Aye.
It's just the way the way
He's took to it
tempos
pretty
have
well
went.
too. Aye.
Tempos have just changed now in music in general.
To
Even
be
your
honest,
singers
if you're a
do
good
it.
rapper, I think generally speaking, if you've got a good rap ability, you're going to move from hip hop to grime or to drill or that quite easily.
You can transition because you can write.
You know how to do it anyway, so it's just it's like just adapting to a new structure. I always felt
and
that.
having a blueprint, hearing other drill rappers and going, this is kind of.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? I'm not going to steal for them, but obviously you've got to be influenced and hear and go, right, that's a nice flow and this and that. And
First time I heard Americans doing that trappy drill flow, I was totally like, what? That sounds mad. And it was the first time I heard it, it was like something new, the way they do that, like, what could you do but that? I can do. You can't say that to me. I can say that to you. And I was just, wow, man, like, that's just weird. I've never heard that in my life. It was like a few years ago I heard a rapper do it. It might have been, was it like that Future? People like that.
right.
Future, he's a big
I
one.
don't know, man.
I don't know their names, but just all of a sudden that. But then I also enjoyed the Snoop Dogg video on a podcast where he slags them off.
Slags they kind of rappers.
Aye. And he's,
I think they're doing bigger numbers than he is.
I know, but I just thought it was funny coming from Snoop, and he's sitting with 50 Cent, a couple other rappers. They're on a podcast thing, and he's going, man, what are these bleeps talking about? Like, and he's like, Snoop's doing that to the mic. Man, what the fuck are you talking about?
Fair enough. You know what? At one point in time, I would have probably said the same, and you could have been forgiven for thinking that if you've never listened. But again, when you get into it and you sort of listen to me and you go, no, there's a real art form to this.
I can
and
see
there's
why Snoop
a million flows you
sees
can
it
have.
that way.
Of course,
Aye,
him being him, he's older
yeah.
than us. You know what I
Aye.
mean? So you're stuck in your ways, kind of thing. But I never saw it that way. I just never listened to it before. As soon as I get tuned into it, straight away I was like, no, this is a real. There's a real art form in this, and there's a real way. And it is just a shame that it's become so cliche with the way I describe it is it would have been like me or you 20 years ago going, I'm running my 6'4" with my gat, and I mean, fucking nonsense, you know what I mean? But you think that's how rap goes. You think there's no other way to do it. Luckily, I had always thought about it differently, so I never started doing that. But I can imagine youngsters these days, and that's why I need the right balaclava, and I need to talk about doing things I've never done.
Especially when their influences are just over the border now.
Well, down
our
south,
influences
there's
were
a
over the
whole
ocean.
bunch of people in England and especially America who really are. And you see them go to jail constantly and getting popped constantly. You don't want that happening in this country. You don't need that. Know what I mean? There's a million reasons to fight. You don't need to add them on. But fighting like Glaswegian people, Edinburgh people fighting on music is fucking ridiculous. We fight anyway. It's all schemes and gangs and football, and there's a million reasons to fight. You don't want to add music into it. What's the point?
I think that's another reason why people, hip hop heads in general, not like a large percentage of them, don't like West Coast stuff because they see it as bringing all this violence into hip hop and giving it a bad rep. And then you can kind of see that the roots of gangster rap have created drill and that, really, and grime and all that.
Yeah.
That hard, from the hood attitude.
But it's life imitating art. It's the art used to imitate the life, like your Bloods and Crips rappers. And again, even myself, I want to talk about the gangs where I come from. I want to talk about the life that I see, which is prostitution and drugs and fucking you grow up in a scheme, and that's the way it is. It's just the fucking way it is. What else you got to talk about?
I think it was natural. So for people that like didn't like West Coast and thought it was like ruining hip hop and stuff, I think whether NWA had done it or anyone had done it, somebody from a unprivileged background was going to do it. They can't all keep rapping positive, happy stuff. There was going to be an angry rapper coming out at some point.
Got to be. And it always came out, it was Africa Bambaataa, and you know the story and all that, but it was to stop the gangs from fighting, so it was based in gang culture for day one.
Aye.
You know what I mean? But it was an alternative to the fighting, and that's my point.
And also people jump on hating on the West Coast for bringing gangster rap really to the front. But there's plenty East Coast rappers that were basically just doing the same with East Coast accents.
Absolutely.
Mobb Deep.
More jealousy, I think, is no, they were more successful, because when Death Row came along, it was over for everybody. You know what I mean? Biggie was the one that kind of saved them. From my recollection, anyway, Biggie was the one that transcended, and everybody went, "Oh, there's an East Coast rapper that." And Wu-Tang, they were talking about gang shit as well.
Yeah.
But the West Coast was like a cartoon fucking
the
thing.
East Coast gang culture was almost a bit more gently put. Where the West Coast gang culture
right in your face
was like,
here's your colours, here's your gangs,
like come through the wrong neighbourhood, get a bullet in your head. You know, they'll literally say it like
and
that.
they mean it because it's real.
Aye.
And that's my point. Is new. There's the one thing, drill culture, for what I've seen, it's creating people who want to talk that way. It's no giving people who are that way an outlet to speak about. There's a difference. It's like, oh, I'm just a normal cunt. But now I've heard drill and I'm a gangster. No. It's I come for I say like myself, I come for a certain background. I want to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it ignorantly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you choose to, then that's fine. I say if you really are out there stabbing people and you want to give a list of the fucking victims' names in your verse, fucking fair play to you, man. But you're not going to last long.
I think it's a good thing in the producing world, Like I got into all sorts of trouble when I was a kid. I don't think I was anywhere near the sort of experiences you've been through. I don't think I went to that extreme, but I've been involved in all sorts of weird, mad stuff when you were younger. But as a producer, you feel like I wouldn't feel comfortable saying some of the stuff that maybe you say, because you've probably seen it more than me. But what I can get enjoyment out of is like producing a whole EP for you. So you're saying what you want to say.
I would never incriminate you or myself. I would never be like, here's my gang, here's my scheme. Don't get me wrong, I've lived experiences that you're right, probably a lot of people haven't. And I wanted to speak about them, which made me want to write the music.
Because I like gangster rap, so therefore I actually quite like Scottish style of gangster rap in a way. But even if I feel like I can't say it, being a producer, it's like I could still release some banging Scottish like gangster
I can be involved in this
and
music.
I could just get someone like MOG to do it.
Of course.
But
again,
Jordan Butler back in the day.
Jordan,
you know what I mean?
again, when I came to Edinburgh, I was like, fucking hell, this cunt's unbelievable. But again, listening to Jordan, right, now, again, fucking somebody who knows a lot about a lot, right? But an incredible rhymer, an incredible thinker, you know what I mean?
Jordan Butler was, when he first came out, lots of people were like, fuck, Edinburgh's got a MOG. Like, that's what it was kind of like. Tons of folk were saying
Don't insult the boy, fuck's sake. You know?
Well, I saw him like that as well. It was like, wow, fuck, there's Zesh came out of Edinburgh too. And
no Zesh as well, you know what I mean? Again, that style of
got that
talking about your
feeling.
scheme and all that kind of shit. Of course, you know what I mean?
Like,
So I love that kind of stuff. I just don't think MD who doesn't know about it should talk about it. Now, the boys you're mentioning, they 100% know about it, and they're talking about their own life, same as myself. But if I just woke up one day and went, I like West Coast hip hop, I'm going to create a Glasgow gangster persona. No, because you never heard me speak that way. You heard me speak about what goes on. You never heard me say I'm the biggest, baddest gangster.
It's funny why
no
people
chance.
feel like they need to do that anyway. It's like I'm sitting here saying to you, like, in my childhood, like in my teens, I got into all sorts of nonsense and trouble and getting lifted by the police and that. Never went to jail. never pulled a knife on anyone, never done anything like that. But I'm quite happy to say that. I'm not going to sit here and
It
be
shouldn't
like,
be a badge of honour, mate. It should
shouldn't
be.
feel like you need to do.
Nah, it should be the
fake
opposite.
it.
Like
Aye,
if you've had this life, here's a bit. I mean, there you go, a way to get out of it. Fuck's sake, I've never made any money out of music, but see everything else it's gave me. Saved my life. 100%. There's not even a question that it saved my life. Of course it did. You know what I mean? Gave me a life.
Kept me smart. That's what I say. So in your mind, it feels like it sort of saved you and guided you away from crap.
Totally.
And I feel similar to that. And it's almost, again, still not as extreme, but it guided me. Got hung around in the mad groups, and some of my pals were madder than others. And almost hip-hop kind of guided me a wee bit, like, you don't want to be doing that. You want to be...
No.
And some of them that weren't listening to hip-hop weren't learning these things. So they were just going off the rails, going crazy.
You can end up one of these 20-year-olds who's just done before it's even started.
Aye,
you know what I mean?
aye.
Like, mate, there is no shame in saying I'm a real human being with feelings. I'm not just a robot gangster.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like, I don't even love my own ma. I'll stab her if she gets wide with me. You know, no, fuck's sake, man. You're a human being. Like, act accordingly. Enjoy life. Take everything that life's got to offer you, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And if you come from a bad background, I understand, so they are, but you don't need to be this robot. I'm just evil. You know what I mean? Like,
and you, the way you're telling it's not about showing off about the things you experienced.
no, it's about telling them.
And you definitely don't feel like you're showing off, because I bet you kind of feel like, I wish I hadn't seen all that crap.
There's nothing to show off about.
Aye, like,
There's nothing to show off about.
Although it's good for your music, and you use it to sort of release thoughts and past experiences and that, but it's not like you're like, oh, thank God that happened to me, you know. Like,
Oh God, no.
whereas
no,
people
no,
are acting
no,
like
no.
they wish that was them. You know,
They're almost trying to make it happen
Aye.
through nothing other than music itself.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
not even their background. It's not even where they come from. They knew that they like this music. It makes them want to be that.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is, mate, it's an insane thing to want to be.
I know a guy that so I'm more interested in the fact, like, it's interesting. So somebody's went through a really rough background and went through a lot of stuff and the experiences, and it is interesting. That's why people watch crime podcasts, because it's interesting.
But from the safety of their own home.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, this is
Aye.
interesting. I don't want to be in it. I don't want nothing to do with it, but it's interesting. You know what I mean?
Aye,
So if you're going out of your way to try and get involved in this nonsense, you're a fool.
yeah,
Total fool.
So what impresses me more is, like, there's somebody like you that came out of that background. You could have went any way, and you've ended up like really like switched on sound guy living in Edinburgh now and that.
I was always destined to know for operating that anyway, but through my own, unless it was bad luck. You know what I mean? Like, obviously I grew up in a certain place, certain people run about me, madness constantly, stuff I hang back on and I go, did that actually happen? Like, aye, it did happen, you know what I mean? But I was always different, that I wanted other things.
I know a guy, we'll finish this up here, Carl, we're nearly done on this round, by the way, but I know a guy that has got a really good job. He's like a directing manager, big company, and got sort of pally with them. And then finding out, like, and he seems really sensible in that, done really well for himself. And then finding out he actually came from a really rough background, council scheme, and got into all sorts of stuff, but totally put it all behind him and left that all behind him and concentrated on his life. And those sort of stories impress me, you know, like,
Use it.
I know.
Don't let it use you, you know what I mean? Use it to your benefit. Okay, well, I mean, maybe I'm smarter than the average bear because I've been in this.
I feel like that guy is smart. He's now went from all those experiences to moving into now a successful life experience, and he's got both of them. And like,
That's it. That's it. You don't need to fall prey to that just because you're in that place now. It sounds easier said than done. But again, with me, it was the music that saved me for something stupid. And don't get me wrong, the point of this is, if I was some mad crazy person running about stabbing people and fucking big massive cocaine dealer or something, I would never have took the path I wanted to write music.
Aye,
you know what I mean? Like, I just
aye.
wanted to speak about all this shit that was going on round about me, and had the unfortunate privilege of being there. You know what I mean?
Aye.
And could use it for something.
yeah,
If you can't use it for something, you can still get the fuck out of that shit. You can still leave, you know what I
Aye,
mean, and do
aye.
something with your life. Just be a decent human being. Don't just... There's this sort of, well, I'm for that place, so fuck everybody. That's not the way the world operates when you go outside of these places. You need to play ball with the rest of the world, you know what I mean?
Aye.
And you'll survive and you'll get on.
Right, man. Well, that's been another good chat. We've got some good topics so far. Like, still got the third part to come, eh? So we'll take a wee break and we'll play MOG's second track on the show, and all the details will be on the screen again, and we'll catch you again in a minute.
One, two. Been more than a decade, I'm still in love with you, constantly surprising me, fueling me with something true. Another day, another wonderful view. Every second I'm inside you feels comfy but new. You never done me wrong, literally the opposite. Changed my negativity, instantly to positive. Guess it was meant to be, you're the one that's meant for me. Blessed be your presence in my memory. Even when I leave, I fantasize of coming home to you, knowing that you'll always be the same, waiting patiently. Staying stationary, never gonna change on me. Blatantly embracing me, which always amazes me. I can't stray for you, hate to be away for you. I'm the man you made in me, you're such a rarity. You're home to me, I guess it got a Wisney. Cherish what you gave to me, Edinburgh City.
I see the same streets, 30 years of concrete. Some see the castle in Arthur Seat. I see a sea of council greed, council estates in a state of need. We've been looking after Jojo and counting trains in sleep. Climb through toilets and I guess it seems nice to move here till the rent is due. Edinburgh, you're a fucking funny one. I both love you and hate the cunt. I'm not done. You're turning into a small London, just don't go full turn. It's a fairy tale town, but people don't live in a fairy tale now. It's a fairy tale, good tale of the town. Just hope that it stays somehow.
Right, guys, that's us back. Hope you enjoyed that second track from MOG. Again, the details should have been on the screen, and we're going to move on with the final part of the podcast, which is based on MOG's accomplishments sort of throughout his sort of music career. Of things that you're proud. I'll stop talking in third person. If you're things that MOG's proud of, and things like maybe music you've worked on, artists you've worked with, gigs you've maybe done, and then we'll move on to sort of what you're working on just now and focused on just now, and then if we've got time we can chat about maybe like in the future what you'd like to get into. So what sort of things are you kind of proud of that you've accomplished through your music and stuff?
Man, I'm proud of still being alive at this point in time, to be honest, never mind anything else. But no, I'm lucky enough to have some surreal moments, you know what I mean, when I was just kind of going, holy shit, it's actually happening. Probably the main one, and it's not just through music, but it ties into growing up as a Celtic fan, and just being a kid and playing football and imagining yourself at Parkhead and everybody cheering, like 40,000 people cheering for me at Parkhead. I had that happen.
Aye.
But I wasn't on the pitch at the time. My video was playing. With Hendo.
Aye.
You know Hendo?
Aye.
So Hendo and Zambian Astronaut and myself done the opening ceremony for the Commonwealth Games in 2014 when it was in Glasgow.
Oh,
and
cool.
the opening ceremony was at Parkhead. And there's God knows how many thousands of people there. And we done the video that was on the big massive screen, so like the full length of the pitch pretty much was this big huge video that we had made and done the song. And Hendo, actually, believe it or not, I think still to this day it's the only time he's rapped.
Aye.
Or he does like a wee poetry rap bit in the middle, and it was amazing. And I done the bit at the beginning, done the bit at the end, and it's being played in front of all these people at Parkhead. So in a wee way, I'm just now clicking back to when I was 8-year-old playing football, thinking everybody's cheering for me at Parkhead, and I'm like, shit, I'm sitting in Parkhead and everybody's cheering for something I done. This is mental.
Aye,
You know what
aye.
I mean? So that's not even just for the music side of it, just for the sort of nostalgia side of it. That was mental. That was
Aye,
crazy
aye.
for that ham.
A memory, great memory.
Aye. So that, I mean, that was brilliant. But
Like,
a
what-
few things.
What I know you've worked with Steg a lot. Steg keeps a lot of people in his pocket. he works with most of the sort of best artists in the scene, Steg. Hence why he's worked with me as well. Like,
Absolutely, mate. First on the list. We were first on the list.
is there what other sort of producers in the Scottish hip hop scene? Could you credit that you've said,
God,
like,
man.
would you say, obviously you'll have jumped on you've jumped on two of my beats in the past, but
Yes.
I wouldn't class that as really working with me. But so
One
actually
of the ones for
working
years
with-
was collabo with a bunch of the boys for the Being years and years
aye,
ago.
we've never really worked together on something, really.
No,
you know?
but we should change that. We should
Aye, I know,
definitely do something.
definitely. Aye.
But,
Now I've got your mobile number, I'll just no leave you alone,
Aye. Not a problem, mate. Not a problem.
But so I mean, have
I'm
you
always
ever
bad
worked
with
with,
naming
like,
names because I don't want to forget MD.
you ever worked with like Tony Smoke in that?
I've worked with Tony Smoke. Aye.
Mm-hmm.
Aye, one of my most successful videos, which again ties into earlier when I said I sample that lassie all the time in Ace Mitchell.
Aye.
I always try and get a different producer to sample a song. One of the videos, if you go by views, which I don't really think means much because I've seen things with billions of views that are total garbage, things with no views that are amazing. But if you go just by views on YouTube, one of my most successful videos was me and Tony Smoke, and
right.
he sampled a Ace Mitchell for me for this specific song.
Cool.
But again, I hate naming names because I don't want to leave anybody out. I don't want anybody sitting going, he said everybody except me just because
Okay,
my
mate.
brain's, you know what I mean, like a sieve. So, but I'm lucky enough. That's one thing I can definitely say. I'm lucky enough to have worked with most of all the greatest producers in Scotland and most of all the greatest rappers. Now, there'll be people I haven't that I'm still would love to. Now, there's nobody I'm like, I don't want to work with this
You're
person.
probably
So.
best not to go start. You're right, naming them all, because if there's that many, you're going to leave somebody.
There's
out.
so many.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 20 years now.
I can
mean,
ask
so.
you random ones though, like.
Oh,
like,
ask
so I
me and
could-
I'll tell.
Are you been on a conscious beat?
Yes, I done an album with full album
you
with
go.
Conscious in 2020. It was the first thing I had done again
Nice.
post pandemic.
Aye.
So me and Conscious and MOG, Pot of Frogs. It's called full 10-track album.
You ever met Nasty P?
Yes.
Aye,
I
aye.
met him at gigs and that. Aye. Of
Ah,
course, played
cool.
gigs. I'm sure no on stage with him, but played the same gig he was playing.
He doesn't work with a lot of Scottish rappers of that. He has done bits and bobs with people, but
Mm.
it is quite rare that he's more DJ producer based, working with American folk and that a lot.
Aye, but we've played the same gigs. You know
There
what I
you
mean?
go.
So.
Aye. Oh well. Aye. Okay, I'm not going to rake my brain for how many.
I
he's
see,
done.
that's the only reason I don't want to name names. People ask who's your favourite and who's this and that, and I'm like, I'm going to forget somebody that when I'll look back I go, fuck, I should have mentioned that person, and you know what I mean.
Aye.
But again, just overall, I've been lucky enough to work with a massive list of great producers and great rappers for this country.
I've got
know
one
what I
of that. You done anything on it? Jigs.
Jigs, I don't know if I've ever been on one of his beats. I don't think personally as a solo track. I might have been on something.
Maybe something up at Words or that. Cause
Possibly.
he has a few Jigs beats in the past. Aye, so
Possibly.
you might have been on a Jigs beat, not been aware of it. 'Cause
Maybe.
it's-
I think if I have, it was probably something that was like a posse track with a bunch
Aye,
of people.
aye,
I don't think I've
aye.
ever done a solo track.
Yeah. Jigs is another good producer. Like.
Oh, I know. I
Aye.
mean, a fan of the music, definitely,
Aye,
even if
aye.
I've never done anything personally. So.
Yeah. Oh well, cool. I'll not keep picking your brain for producers.
no, I say fling names out there I'm happy to mention, but I don't want to start listing off a list because I know I'll forget people that I don't
This
want to
is your-
forget.
Meant to be your accomplishments, but
There's no
Could-
many.
could you like? I'm interested now that you're mentioning some producers. Is there like a rapper in the scene that you would say, man, he's amazing? Like not like saying he's your favourite Scottish rapper or anything like that, but is someone you can pluck out your brain that you're like, I really like his stuff. Or,
See, again, there's a lot, man. That's
Aye.
what if I mention 5 and there's somebody who's the 6th or 7th one that I didn't mention? I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. No, they care what I fucking think. You know what I mean?
aye. Pull
but-
out just one.
One name. Well, do you know what? I'll say the person I've been doing the most music with recently, YB, is incredible, and
Aye.
it was a massive challenge for me to go and rap with him
Yeah.
because he's so good at doing drill and that kind of music. You know what I mean? And he's another reason why I realised I hadn't lost my accent as much as I thought I had. Because when you hear him, he's 100% Glasgow and never left Glasgow.
Aye.
And then when I hear me on a track right after him, I don't think it sounds too...
Nah.
You know what I mean? I don't sound as though I've been away for 12 years.
Aye.
You know what I mean? So
Your Glasgow slang will probably strengthen when you rap as well, eh?
possibly, because
Aye,
it's
aye.
muscle memory.
Yeah, yeah.
Always rapped that way even before I came here. So,
Aye.
you know what I mean? That's another thing. I'm pretty accomplishments. Accomplishments was getting the fuck out of where I stayed and coming here. And
Aye.
that was music that done that for me. That was a massive accomplishment.
Aye.
You know what I mean? And
I knew
living
you'd
here.
been here. We were chatting the other day on the phone, eh? And I was thinking, you must have been here a good 6 or 7 years. You
12.
were like, aye, 12 years,
Fucking
eh?
unreal.
Crazy, eh? I know.
Unreal, mate. Went by like that, man. But loved every second of it.
Aye. Edinburgh's a good place, though. It's quite chilled out in that, eh? And there's some crazy areas in Edinburgh, but if you stay in the town and that, it's just a
Beautiful.
nice place to live, eh?
Beautiful.
Aye.
No, I mean, I've always been central in the town.
Aye.
And I love it. You know what I mean? It's just liberating to, again, no walkabout and everybody knows you and everybody knows everybody else's business and it's all everybody in about everybody else's business. I like being free and just
Aye.
being able to live my life, you know what I mean? So it's a beautiful thing.
I used to, kind of, in my younger days, it was quite a sort of common, you'd see somebody walk on the road who was just like a happy guy, and I'd always say like, check that guy, he's so happy-go-lucky. And I used to kind of find it funny, almost like taking the mick out of somebody. Like, yeah, that guy is totally happy-go. Oh no, heading down the pavement that day. But then that's what you realise what's quite nice about Edinburgh. There's a lot of happy-go-lucky folk just walking around, eh?
And it's a big melting pot of
It's a
everybody
friendly
from
people.
everywhere.
Aye.
And the different walks of life all over the place, you know what I mean? And see, to be honest, mate, it comes with age, I suppose, as well. But one thing I like now is I just like seeing happy people, because everybody's fucking miserable now for one reason or another.
Aye.
Or everybody's trying to save the world and they're on some crusade or some shit like that, and everything's negative. And I just like seeing somebody go down the street with their wench and seeing their wench playing and having fun, and you know what I mean, and them being happy and just have a family, raise a family,
Aye.
be
Aye.
happy. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that. You don't need
Aye.
to be a gangster. You know what I mean? They're fucking much better if you're no. You know what I mean?
Aye.
So
Aye.
that's pretty much the things that make me happy these days, is just seeing genuine, maybe innocence isn't the word, but just decency. You know what I mean? Because it's in short supply. You know what I mean? It really is in short supply. Well, from my perspective anyway, everybody's got an agenda, everybody's uptight about something, man. I just like seeing people who are just want to be happy and manage to achieve it and live the right way. And you know what I mean? You do good things will come to you.
Just what you were kind of saying there, like, I see people just being more happy. I even see like the older original hip hop artists in Scotland, they are a lot more inclusive to each other in that now, because we're all older, eh? And I noticed, like, back in the day, not that everybody was always sound, we all went to each other's gigs and we all got on with each other,
There was
but there was
rivalry.
rivalry big time, eh? So like, it was quite rare you'd get like Loki or one of their crew sharing something from like us lot, or us sharing some of their stuff, or even just other groups. Like, there was other Edinburgh groups, that Remedies and people like that, and they weren't going to. But as we've all got older, it's like you realise,
Nonsense.
yeah, it's all daft, and now it's quite nice, eh? Because everybody seems closer. Like, everyone's
Mates, man. I mean, that was another thing I loved about Edinburgh. In my mind, I'm going, fuck, I'm the outsider here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm from Glasgow. My mates in Edinburgh, I'm the only one that came from Glasgow and is still here and has hung about with everybody and knows everybody. You know what I mean? So never once felt that. Never once in my mind it felt that to begin with. What's this going to be like? Never once felt that. You know what I mean? To this day, everybody's cool as fuck. And the rivalry thing, I've never really had rivalry with anybody, and I've never felt that way, because again, my purpose for rapping was only for a selfish perspective, as I want to write about my life, my scheme, where I come from, my perspective. Nobody can be better at that than me. So I can't put that up against, well, you're talking about my life better than I'm. No, I'm the only one talking about my life. I'm not in an MC battle with you. I'm not about who's the best flow and the best rap. I don't care. That was never my motivation to rap. My motivation to rap was just to tell my own thoughts and feelings. And that's how, I was saying to you earlier, rap, it's art, man. Like, if it's a 100-metre race and somebody crosses the finish line first, they're the best. They're the fastest. But this isn't that. This is individuality, talking about your life, talking about experiences. You can't be better at being you than somebody else can be.
I think
you know what I mean?
That's a problem in the. I mean, I was going to say the scene. Tons of people have this sort of vision that there isn't a scene. It's just tons of folk making tunes, and there is a scene. It's definitely a scene. It's weird, eh? A lot of folks say the scene, and they put like hyphens behind it as if like it doesn't exist.
It's been happening for 20 years.
It's like there is a scene, like, I mean, that's how I ken you through the scene.
Of course, a
like,
community of people who do the same thing. We all rap, and I say that as long as we're all doing it to be happy. Like, see if you're just getting into this for rivalry and nothing else, man. What the fuck? Know what I mean?
Well,
like,
that's what I was going to say. I think the big problem with the scene is, which is better now than it used to be, is that we should all be like happy that folk are different and they're not the same as you. So some folk aren't supporting other folk because they just don't really feel their style or whatever. But that's cool though, because their style's different, and it'd be pretty crap if we all had the same style and we're like, oh yeah, I like MOG, and I want everyone to sound just like MOG sounds. Maybe a different voice, but just the same style, talking about the same stuff.
It's ludicrous. What would be the point? And see, the thing is, for these people who know, I know every lyric this guy said, and that's why I hate him. Why do you know his lyrics? And if I turn on something that I don't like, it gets turned off.
Aye.
You know what I mean? Like, they're analysing this other person. I thought, man, come on. You know
I
what
think
I mean?
it's
Life's too short.
I've always looked at like America, and you've had like total different styles, and you can appreciate them all. And I always felt like, why can't the Scottish scene do that? Just appreciate each other. Because in America, you can appreciate like Buster Rhymes' own sound. It's a funny wee noise.
It was for a second. There was maybe something outside.
Oh yeah, somebody's powering up a generator or something.
Ready
so
to
like,
play a gig out in your back garden.
Again, in America, they got like Buster Rhymes sound, like in the classic days, Biggie Smalls sound, like Wu-Tang sound, Nazi's sound. They all had a different sound, and some people loved Nas and weren't much of a fan of Buster Rhymes, and that's cool. But you still appreciate that they're amazing, you know,
totally.
like, and they've all got their own sound, and that's what makes it great. So that in Scotland, it's the same, eh? Like, you've got your own sound, and Mad Hat's got his own sound, and Conscious Root's got his own sound, Word's got his own sound. Like, everybody has their own individuality. I think it's amazing, and we should all be supporting each other more.
Totally, mate. And do you know, if it's, again, we were talking earlier about the gang thing. If everybody's rapping because they're in gangs and they're going, right, that's a completely separate issue. That's not even getting to do with music. Or if you're fighting over millions and millions of pounds, like if me and you are rivals because you're number one in the charts and I'm number two, and there's a whole lot of money at stake, or there's something tangible at stake, okay, fair enough, you know what I mean? But there's nothing at stake. We're Scottish people who rap, and that's ridiculous. You realise how ridiculous that is?
Aye.
It's like, do you know, we were talking about earlier, you say you like, I think it's just as a generator or something. We were saying earlier you like Marvel and you like the MCU and all that kind of stuff. Like, I've always felt that if that was rap in this country, right, then I would be Deadpool, you know, because he realises he's in a movie. He realises how stupid it all is. But it's fun, so I'm going to stay in it anyway. I feel that way. I feel we're all doing something that's quite fucking ridiculous here. We're lives, you know what I mean? But at least I realise it. You know, I'm aware of it, and I'll still play ball because I enjoy it. But I'm not taking it too fucking seriously. You know what I mean? I'm not everyone else. It's life or death. No, life and death is life and death. Music is just fucking music. You know what I mean? It's nothing to base your happiness or lack thereof on.
Well, even
you know
back
in
the day, I used to say that that we should thank God that shut the fuck up as well.
I
think it was honestly like a boy racer car. It wasn't a generator. I was about to go out there and start throwing stones at his wee Fiesta. But damn, what was I going to say there? God, it put me right off.
I was just talking about not taking it too seriously.
I know, I used to always totally think that we need to support each other, because back in the day when everybody was really active, I used to say stuff like, if Mad Hat blows up, if we all support him when he's doing his London stuff and he's going on BBC, and we all share those links and we all push it as far as we can, if Mad Hat blows up, someone else is coming next.
Absolutely. It
doesn't have to be Mad Hat first. Let's support Loki, because if Loki blows up, it's going to be someone after
the door.
him. It doesn't matter who's first. Let's just get the door opened and start getting them. But we all spent so long not really pushing each other that
It's a bucket of crabs.
They were
As
all
soon as
just-
one person tries to get
Aye.
out, back in. No,
Yeah.
no, because if you get out, that means you think you're better than me, or people might think you're better than me. But like you say, it might open the door for you to go through,
exactly.
word to go through, everybody. You know what I
So
mean?
if there's any advice I could give the sort of newer generation, support each other, don't be beefing with each other. We're in this little, really shitty little bucket, and we're not doing too great. And the last thing we need to be doing is like pulling each other back down.
Totally.
We need to be
100%.
helping each other, Cause and then I think it's similar in England in that I think they are quite rivals against each other, but they do support each other, and it's maybe why it's blew up more in England, because more
When
support.
you're established, but if me and you're established, everybody knows who I am, everybody knows who you are. No, I've got a diss track about Riddler and he's got one back at me. Oh, that might mean something to somebody. See,
Aye.
when nobody knows who anybody is, doesn't
Aye.
matter to them. They don't even know you, so they don't give a fuck about this cunt you're dissing. They don't know him either.
Aye,
It's
aye.
not gonna make you any money. Oh, I'm gonna get rich off of beef. Beef with who?
Aye,
The
I
average
know.
person's going, who is this cunt and who the fuck is he talking about? Do you know what? I don't care.
I don't know.
Know what I mean? So maybe try and make something that makes them interested in who you are first. You know what I mean?
Aye.
And then go dissing the whole fucking world if that's what you want to do, but make something that makes them interested in you, and then they go, because that's how I get involved in liking people. Oh, what's this?
You ever done a diss track of? No. Nah, me neither.
Nah, I spent my whole life dissing myself.
Aye.
You know what I mean?
Me too.
So-
I've never been a big fan of it either. Like,
Nah,
and
I diss the world, obviously. I diss what I hate about life, but no another rapper. 'cause
when I
what
was
do
younger,
care?
I liked the mainstream disses. You know, when I was younger, Eminem going against Benzino and things like that. Like, I was entertained by that, and Tupac like trying to ruin Bad Boy. And
But they're the biggest rappers in the world.
yeah.
You're invested in who these people are.
yeah. But I just when I hear sort of more local disses, it's got a massive feeling of like one guy slagging another guy off, and like then meeting each other at a gig and nothing.
Standing in the corner, don't want to look at me. He doesn't want to look at me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And,
Like, why do you have this problem? Does he owe you 20 grand? Okay, you've got a problem. Did he
Yeah.
shag your bird? Okay, you've got a problem. Did he make a song that you don't like? That's no a
know.
fucking problem, like, mate. That's nothing to be having aggro about with a cunt.
I think it's also like they'll say some really if you're gonna say so diss tracks, like if you're gonna say diss, like Eminem was pretty good at dissing folk and ridiculing them, but some folk do diss tracks and take it so far that you're actually like being quite hateful and nasty about the other person. And I feel like if you're gonna ridicule them, like I could do a diss track against you and ridicule you by taking the piss out your bald head or something.
That's it. He's bald. Ha ha ha.
Aye,
But
mate, take the piss out of you, and I think that's okay. But to be doing a diss track and then say me doing one about you, threatening that I'm going to do something to you,
or revealing personal details about my life that you happen to know
Or
that
even-
nobody else does. You know what I
or
mean?
even
That's
just
what I don't like.
claiming things in your diss battle sort of rap, saying like you better hope I never see you, and things like that.
I know.
And
I
then
know.
ending up in the same club together and not doing anything.
Because you know why? Because there's no really a problem.
Aye,
And like
aye.
I said before, if there's a serious problem people have got with each other, like
And I'm not
take
saying
music away, you would still have a problem because somebody's
Aye.
done something to somebody else. That doesn't get dealt with on record.
And also I was going to say, but I'm not telling people to go out and do something. Like, don't say I'm going to do this to you when I see you. I'm not telling you to then go to the club and do it.
No, you're,
What I'm
you're saying don't say it in the first
say
place.
it in the first
Aye,
place,
aye,
aye. Like, just ridicule the person. That's like battle rap. So I think that's fine.
It's usually
So-
based on how I'm so hard that I'm going to tell this other rapper, mate, if you're really that hard and that you're really living that kind of life, your enemies are not rappers.
Aye.
You get much bigger fish to fry than the cunt
Even-
for the other end of the country who says a bunch of words that rhyme. You know
Even
what
when
I
I
mean?
done my Don't Flop battle rap with Chad the Lad, he like ripped the piss out of UV Beats and they said stuff about my beats being shite and it's just my mates that big me up and it's all cool. I like all that. It's
Funny,
just
sad.
it's
I like
just
battling,
funny.
but battling's
Yeah.
funny. Like, see
Aye.
when it's
But
light-hearted
he's
and
not
it's lyrical.
saying like really nasty shit about your mum and what I would do to your sister and
There's no need for that.
and just I don't know. I just feel like ridicule the person. Pick out their weak points and pick on them, and that's funny. But not like where it's hateful in that,
No,
because then you're going to
no.
make the other person angry, and then it just feels like it needs to go further after that.
Well, that's it. I couldn't stand in front of somebody and, you know, I'm only allowed to respond with words when they've spoke about personal details about, nah, fuck that,
Yeah, I
can't
know.
do that. But if it's, I like going and watching people battle. I used to love going and watching BA battle, or going and watching Jinx battle, or because it was
Aye.
funny and it was entertaining and they're amazing at what they do.
Aye.
It wasn't just getting up there and going, right, I started doing some digging and knew I know this personal information about you, and mate, you get that much of a problem with a guy, fucking go speak to him.
Aye,
You know what I
aye.
mean?
If you can make folk laugh in a battle rap, I think it's better than making people shocked. I think if you
Aye.
make them laugh. So some people battle rap, and it makes like, whoa, did he just say that? Like, that's cool. But if you can actually make people laugh, it's more powerful. So I always remember saying to Chad the lad, are you an Egypt? Check the size of your neck. Get to Egypt. It's just like ripping.
And that's just a stupid joke.
He's
you know what I
just
mean?
claiming you've got a long neck. He's quite a tall guy, eh? He's got a long neck and that.
It's like
quite
building
good.
site patter.
Aye,
If you worked
aye.
on a building site, everybody's ripping everybody, but they're all mates and they all work together.
Aye,
That's
aye.
kind of the way it should
And
be.
it's banter, and one person on the building site wins and one loses. Like
Aye,
that.
and then because you got
you-
fucking
you
ripped,
got
you know what I
your
mean? But,
aye.
but whatever, you're back the next day and everybody's mates. It's just a
Exactly.
slagging. It's no
That
personal.
boy's going home
and-
that night, and he's trying to think of some things to get back at him the next day.
He's waking
Aye,
up
aye.
at 2 a.m. I've got it. I know what I'm going to say. You know what I mean? But none of this should be took so fucking serious. If you're a serious person with a serious life, fair enough.
Well, that's what I was just saying. If you're going to say all really nasty things and that, then that's shocking, and I'm thinking that you're going to do something behind that now. But when you don't, then it's like, well, don't say those sort of things. Why? You're making people... The guy that you said the nasty stuff about, he could possibly be sitting thinking, man, I better watch my front door. Like, the guy says it's stuff about knives and that. Like,
Over nothing but music, nonsense.
you know what I mean? It's
But
no-
just life in general, mate. It'll come back to you, you know what I mean? If you want to start putting out stupid negativity, it will come back to you.
Again,
It happens,
aye.
you know what I mean? And
Well.
you know everybody's, like, wanting to live that life. I just don't care what happens to me. I'm just going to tell everybody they're a cunt until somebody eventually takes me out. You only get one kick of the ball, mate. Don't live your life like that.
And if smaller guys want to take pops at bigger names just to try and get a bigger name, be aware that you might concentrate on ridiculing that guy who's bigger than you just to get a name as big as him in rap. But the problem is, like, remember that guy has got a big name, so you may not end up getting assaulted by that rapper or that, but you might get assaulted by one of his fans.
Totally.
You've got to be aware of, like,
Totally.
if you're going for that guy that's high up, he's got a lot. He's high up for a reason. He's got a lot of fans. So the next time you're doing a gig, there might be that crazy guy in the crowd who's like, he ripped my favourite rapper. Like, he was out of order. I'm going to tell him.
Even if the dude in question doesn't take it seriously, it's somebody he knows might or
Yeah,
whatever. It's
aye.
just that it's just pointless. I would hate to be lying in a hospital bed or sitting in the jail because of something that happened between me and another fucking rapper
I know.
or music. You know what I
Aye.
mean? It's the most
crazy.
ridiculous thing in the world. You know what I mean?
Well, that's been good chatting. How are we doing for time? Still got a wee bit of time. Let's move on quickly to maybe what you're focused on now, what you're working on, and what your main things are.
Main thing now, like I say, I got another album with YB, so that'll be the sort of hip hop drill, I suppose, side of things. You know what I mean?
Aye.
So I'm loving doing that, and we'll have another album, just done a thing for Up to Standard. No, yesterday, the day before. So we'll have another album soon. We had an album called Teeter, Teitr, about 6 months ago. So put on another 10-track album, me and him, and the other thing is
Were you in Bridal, is that?
YB
Aye.
and
Aye.
myself. Aye. The other thing's the Ducks, the band.
Aye.
So that's Lewis, myself, and the drummer who's, believe it or not, the Fratelli's drummer, who got in touch with me. And that was another, we were talking about accomplishments, and that was another wee surreal moment for me. Was this guy's like, oh mate, I love your tunes, I've listened to them for years, I'm a drummer by the way, I'm in this band called the Fratellis, don't know if you've ever heard of it. I'm like, come on, fuck, of course I've fucking heard of them, you know what I mean? I remember singing their main single, you know, Chelsea Dagger and that. I remember singing that when it came out and thinking it was brilliant. So again, I'm just like, fucking hell, man, somebody of that ilk
Aye.
is kicking about at the Brit Awards and doing whatever he's doing, listening to my shit.
Aye,
Like,
aye.
fucking hell. You know what I mean? That's insane. So we're a 3-piece now called the Ducks,
Cool.
and we're going to do something. We've already recorded an album. It's just a case of when it gets released, and then hopefully the gigs possibly tours or whatever the hell we can get out here with them, and that's my main focus.
Aye.
Is these two things to do. I know you had Word on the podcast. I'm getting an EP coming out with Word.
All right, aye. Is that a joint EP with Word or
Joint EP, me
Aye,
and
aye.
Word.
Cool.
One of the songs you've played, me and Word, that's
That's on
after
the
that
podcast, no?
after that EP. So I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm missing, but for the immediate future, album with Bridal, YB, EP with Word, and the Ducks thing when that eventually kicks in. But like I said, my drummer's in another band, so they've got a lot of commitments, but whenever we get the chance, we'll start playing
And
gigs.
it's Lewis Finlay, eh?
Lewis Finlay,
Aye.
aye.
So we're going to get chatting to MOG. I'm going to get MOG and Lewis Finlay back on at some point. Not exactly sure when. More
you could do a whole podcast
special
with Lewis
podcast
on
just
his
to-
music. Like
Aye.
Lewis's back catalogue, it's no so much hip hop,
well,
but
we'll
he's
possibly get him on his own as well.
aye.
you
Honest,
know?
there's a guest
Aye.
for you, man, because
Aye,
Lewis's
totally.
music is incredible.
Anybody, I'm interested in getting all sorts of people on, you know, like, so totally. But also was thinking it would be good to get you and Tim on and just doing a podcast just about the band.
Aye,
And
that'd be great.
we'll get a couple of mics on the go, and more. You guys can sort of concoct more stories together about the band and experiences. And
Hopefully have a sort of more focused idea of what's going to be happening, mate. By that point in time, I can see either the album's out, or this is when it's going to be out,
Yeah.
or this is gigs we're playing, or whatever's
aye.
happening.
Yeah. So whenever you guys fancy it, maybe Lewis could come on before that.
Aye,
You know, 'cause
aye.
you've
See,
been on,
he's
Lewis
got
could
a
come on.
fascinating life, a
Aye.
fascinating musical history, and that. Know what I mean?
Aye, nice one. Aye, cool. Well, that's pretty much us then, eh? I mean, I think that's us pretty much hit our time, and you've covered some accomplishments and what you're working on just now, what you're focused on, and you'll just need to add on a UV Beats EP, Morgan UV Beats EP.
Well, I said that you're saying the future. That's things that have been done. So that's something that needs to get done.
That's something that needs-
Absolutely,
definitely, man.
We need to work
Aye.
together for sure, man.
Right, so man, we'll maybe just call it quits at that then, and thanks so much for coming on again.
Been a pleasure, mate. Been
Yeah.
a pleasure, man. I say any time, man. Well, maybe not going to do too many more podcasts, but
Aye,
But
we'll
work together for sure.
We'll definitely look at the Ducks one in the future. That's closer to maybe a release time or something, eh?
Totally.
And,
And get
yeah.
a wee musical collab on the go. For
Oh,
sure,
definitely.
man.
That'll be the next thing to do, eh? Get some
Absolutely.
tunes on the go.
Absolutely.
Aye, nice one. Cool. Do a wee 6-track EP or something like that,
Sounds
eh?
good to me, mate.
Aye,
West
cool.
Coast classics.
Aye. I mean, if it's easier for you too, I know Words always sound. You can always record that Words and send me vocals and stuff too. If
Aye,
you didn't
I've
want to
got
come all the way out here as well.
I mean, I'm happy to come here as well. You know what
Aye.
I mean? Either way, man. I say I know we're both fans of the West Coast. You know what I mean?
Aye.
So
Get some West Coast.
that's you don't really get many producers making the kind of beats, so that'd be great to do something
Yeah,
like that.
man. Aye. I
mean,
used to love
novelty.
messing about trying to make some G-funk sounds and that.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I'm all about that action all day long,
Well,
man.
if we pre-plan it, send you beats and that, you can write for a few weeks, couple of weeks and that, and then come up, record 2 or 3 tracks maybe, or a couple of
Sounds
tracks
amazing.
at a time, eh?
Sounds amazing.
Aye,
mate.
aye,
Let
aye.
me get my West Coast on.
Nice
Know what I
one, nice one. Yeah. Right, well, thanks everyone for watching. We're going to call it quits, and big up to MOG, and we'll catch you soon.
Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button so you don't miss out on any upcoming content.
Get put in jail, get out in bail, refuse to fail despite the odds, don't kid yourself.